Malibu beach house was in decent enough condition. The three-story house, each level of which had floor-to-ceiling windows giving access to magnificent views and jutted out toward the Pacific Ocean, had its attractions. White stucco, brick red tile roof, several small balconies and decks scattered about each level. One was never without the extraordinary view. Mountaintop and beachfront, the best of both worlds, the realtor had said. It was the interior design that turned Toots inside out. Hot pink and purple, garish blues and greens in 6 bedrooms made it a disaster. Toots had almost backed out of the purchase. However, she wasn't stupid. $3.8 million for a mountaintop beachfront property, in Malibu no less, was a steal. She wrote out a check for the full amount, knowing it would probably cost her that much or more to remodel the inside. And now here she was, scared half out of her mind. At the Beverly Hills Hotel, she'd had Elizabeth Taylor's bungalow. She'd left that for this nightmare? Maybe she really was out of her mind. Taking a deep breath, Toots scanned the perimeter of the bed. Nothing unusual, nothing out of place. Maybe those puffs of clouds had been a crazy dream. Maybe, but something told her it was much more. Toots had always believed in an afterlife. New spirits or souls didn't always make it to the other side. But this? Transparent clouds floating around her room with faces inside them? Mouths forming words but no sound? No, this definitely wasn't her image of lost spirits and souls. This was more like something right out of the Twilight Zone. Having lived in Charleston, South Carolina for more than 20 years, Toots was perfectly familiar with tales of hauntings and sightings of those long since past. When she had first moved to Charleston, she'd actually gone on several ghost-walking tours and heard all the stories about hauntings that had supposedly taken place over the years. However, Toots had never had anything even resembling a supernatural experience. Until now. Upon her arrival in Los Angeles, she'd paid little attention to the tales of old theaters, movie studios, and historic homes being haunted by some of Hollywood's greatest actors and actresses. This was Hollywood, the land of dreams, not nightmares. When Toots decided to purchase a home in order to be close to Abby and run the Informer, the tabloid paper she had recently acquired, she hadn't intended on sharing her space with a spirit, or spirits.
"Go back to wherever the hell you came from," Toots shouted in the dimly lit room.
She heard the false bravado in her words and hoped that Sophie, who was sleeping in the room across the hall, hadn't heard her. Thank goodness Ida and Mavis were upstairs. Toots could only imagine what her old friends would say if she thought something otherworldly had entered her room. Hell, what was she thinking? Sophie's newfound interest in paranormal activity, Toots decided, had just earned her the master suite. Deciding that a room change was in order first thing in the morning, Toots climbed back into bed, wondering how she was going to convince Sophie to switch rooms without alerting her of her suspicions. Then decided she couldn't. This was too scary to keep to herself. Toots almost wished she'd gone ahead with the purchase of Aaron Spelling's mansion. Wanting and actually purchasing the 56,000-square-foot mansion had been an ordeal she hadn't anticipated. The widow of the former television mogul made it very clear to the realtor that she must be present to examine any prospective buyer. Of course, not just anyone was allowed to bid. First requirement was an income check. Then came the real fun. Toots simply could not believe what she was doing. Never in a zillion years had she stooped so low just to become eligible to view a piece of real estate. So what if it had belonged to former television mogul Aaron Spelling? A house was a house as far as she was concerned, or in this case a mansion, was a palace. Anything could be had for the right price, Toots believed. But this? She looked at the 3 other prospective buyers seated in the realtor's office. 2 women and 1 man. Toots was positive the man was gay. He wore a silk leopard print shirt with tight black slacks. Gold rings encircled all the fingers on both hands. Toots guessed that his ears had at least 8 piercings. Gold hoop earrings sized according to position from small to large hung from his ears. More gold bangles around his wrists and an ankle bracelet wrapped around a pale